Bob, did you get rid of your Texas license plate?
No,
No? Oh, okay.
it's on Debbie's car.
Oh, okay.
That generates a lot of attention,
It's noticeable around here.
usually from people that are, for Texas fans, they'll come up to us, and one guy up in Quebec actually stopped us. We were driving through Quebec City, and he came out in the road like this. I rolled down the window thinking, what the heck's this guy want? He goes, I love your plates.
Oh,
Ross, ready? All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Thursday, October 19th, 2023, and a regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I'm Rich Reader, the chair, Vice Chair Bob Freeze, and Select Board Member Wendy Rathgeber are here, so we have a quorum. So privilege of the floor. Why don't I move up to new business and just go right to the presidential primary location? I know that was a discussion at the school board today, so you don't have to hang around any longer than necessary. So did you want to comment on?
Well, still don't have an official date for the
Right.
primary, but it's looking, the current tentative date is January 23rd. I think you had mentioned you had heard that date as well.
Yes,
The school board seems favorable to allow us to have the election there at the school, at the gymnasium, and they will do an off-campus day, whether it be a field trip or school on the mountain that day.
Awesome.
We just need to get back to them when we know what the official
Right.
date is.
Right.
And then there'll be another date in March for the town meeting.
right.
Um,
For that date, we know.
maybe we do know that?
Well, it's always the second Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, whatever.
And then the town.
It's the 12th this year. That's right.
12th, March 12th. But they seem, well, they made the point that it's not a long-term solution. They're not happy with it. One of the school members voted no. The other one said yes for now. Another one said yes for now. So, we'll see.
Okay,
But for now,
great. Well, we'll take the 23 January date. That's been out there for a long time. I think that can be pretty much it. I think as soon as the period for candidates to register as a candidate, which I believe ends on the 27th of October. Once that ends, I think the Secretary of State says he will be deciding. So I imagine we'll hear in the next couple of weeks, be able to lock it in onto the 23rd. And that requires, I think, a full 8 hours, right? That's a presidential
Yeah.
primary.
yeah, I expect it to be busy.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because only one side is really having a primary. So it'll be interesting what the instructions are. All right, any further questions on that? So said Steve, Mark, I guess we'll start making whatever preparations we need to make in terms of notifications and whatnot. Let's go ahead and assume that it'll be the 23rd and it'll be in the gymnasium.
Okay,
Probably something like 11 to 7 for doing 8 hours.
Yeah, it's possible we start earlier.
We can do more,
And
yeah.
we have plenty of volunteers now to be ballot clerks.
Oh, wow.
So we can split up the day. It's for you guys and the town clerks that it's a long day for.
Yeah. Yeah.
so there aren't set hours in a day that we have to be open for?
11 to 7 is the time we have to be open.
Okay, oh, so it
But
could
we
be
can open
beyond
earlier
that.
and we can stay later.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. I think we're required for 8 hours
Okay,
on that day, and we've chosen, I think, yeah.
Those hours, yeah.
So we don't have to make that decision for a while.
No, I think the decision will be made for us, and
Well, the 11 to 7,
I think it'll be moderator.
I think you guys picked that.
Yeah, well, we'll have another discussion.
Yeah.
Moderator weigh in on what she's hearing on the moderator.
Yep.
Listserv as to kind of hours and what they're expecting in terms of participation, and then we can go from there.
we can put it under old business next meeting. We should know. right?
Yeah.
First meeting in November.
Yeah. All right, so we'll readdress this. Our next meeting, Patty, is on the 2nd of November at 3 p.m. Okay, let's go ahead and move back, excuse me, back up to, unless you had something else, Patty, privilege before. Alrighty, thank you. Approval of minutes, 19 July 2023. I had no comments. Any?
I mean, haven't we approved minutes since then? That seems like a long time ago.
This was a special meeting that got over with Bob, but.
Oh, it
Sharon-
did?
Sharon caught it last week, so.
Oh,
we're able to get it set
okay.
up.
Yeah, we're not that far behind.
No.
Okay.
We're actually only, we're already down one, the October 5th. We were caught up
Correct, yeah.
in September, so. Alrighty, a motion to, or
I'll
any
move that
changes?
we- I don't have any changes.
No?
unless if-
No,
No,
okay.
so I would move we approve the July 19 minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Calendar review, all right, it's gonna be a busy fall, as is usually the case. The planning board's actually having it's, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a public hearing, but it's a public meeting on the HOP zoning amendments, is it? Was it
I
gonna be
think
an
they're-
informational meeting?
I will, let me check the notice. Hold on just a sec.
Yeah. Just want to make sure we got that right, because we'll have our normal zoning amendment public hearing on November 8th here at 6 p.m. You guys have seen, I think, the zoning amendments that
Yeah.
are being,
Oh, I'm seeing him for the first time right
Okay.
now. I didn't get the packet till just before the meeting, so. I'm seeing it for the first time. But
we can discuss them at the next meeting. Is there anything you want to raise about any concerns, comments you'd like to make about the zoning amendments? There are a number of them. But the one on October 26th is to look
It
at.
is, October 26th is a public meeting, not the hearing.
A hearing, okay,
The zoning hearing is the other date.
November 8th,
November 8th. Yeah,
right,
so is the idea then that they're having the meeting so that any feedback can be voted on that night in advance of the public hearing for the same amendments on?
no, the public meeting, my understanding is the public meeting, Steve, correct me if you heard anything different from Tara, is to get the grant, the changes resulting from all of the work that's been done under the grant done and see if there are zoning amendments that are specifically housing related. But then they would need to go to the actual public hearing.
Right,
Yeah, this is a follow-up from the survey that
Right.
Tara and Kayla with North Country Council sent out.
right,
Just getting some input on how the public feels about the changes in our zoning ordinances to support different types of housing models, and now they're actually gonna have a hearing to get, not a hearing, it's just a public discussion, if you will, on the finalized zoning amendments that they've created.
gotcha.
right, and
Thank
see,
you.
see what the feedback would be, and then that'll get rolled into our public hearing on zoning amendments,
So
of
that
which there are a whole
okay,
bunch others.
right, so
right.
that anything on the 26th then could be added to the November 8th.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the intent, right?
Yeah, so right now there's the five proposed amendments that are in your packet.
Right,
One of them is really the floodplain, readopting the floodplain management ordinance.
mhm,
And then the other four that are shown there.
right,
And then out of the HOP grant, if they get, the planning board can do additional amendments that are housing related if they want.
okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure if they'd have the language, so on the 26th, the meeting will propose language that could move forward to the November 8th, or would there be just another hearing? public
There
hearing?
probably, it will not get added to the November 8th one at this
Yeah, that was
point.
my question. Okay.
Yeah, so there would be another hearing.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, our next regular meeting is 2 November at 3 p.m. And the planning board is at 8 a.m. on 9 November. All these meetings will be here in the downstairs, town hall downstairs meeting room. All right, so we've added a new category in lieu of department head reports on our late meeting days. We will have a town operations update.
There isn't much as far as the town operations that won't be covered in the other agenda items. Steve, you said that public safety had some items. I did not receive them. Do you have a list from Dave?
No, I don't, Mark.
Okay, so nothing from public safety, recreation department, they're just the after-school program in session. They had a great family fall fest weekend with the run, which you talked about, I think, the last time. It's pretty standard. They've taken boats and all of the equipment out of the water with Public Works. And
When
buttoning
does
up.
that come out?
I'm sorry.
When does that come out, the equipment?
I
The
believe
boats?
they were working on it this week. I just have
Oh.
not personally seen it. But Megan said that they were working with the rec department. Public Works was working with the rec department to get the items out of the pond and get buttoned up for the winter. And then just budget planning and planning for holiday. They've got the Halloween events coming up in a couple of weeks, right? I believe that's on the 28th, so another week and a half for those items. And that's all from the rec department. Public Works. Most of the update is in regards to the transfer station and the road projects, which are other agenda items. Dylan told me today that the wastewater treatment facility and the water department are just normal operations at this point, nothing special. We are continuing with the sludge drying bed application, getting the sludge lagoon emptied out. So that's been a major part of what they've been working on. Nothing else of note in those two departments.
On the transfer station, where do we stand on the decals? We're gonna send another decal out.
Yep,
They were already sent out.
decals went out on Friday of last week and everyone's Q3 water and sewer bills
They went out with the bills.
with the bills.
Yep. And that was noticed on the website and social
Threw
media.
them away, threw it away. It was in with the sewer and water bill.
It was.
Yeah, I hate to micromanage on it, but this isn't the first time I'm here. Is there a way to like tape? I mean, not, maybe we're not doing stickers in the future, but you know, I know it's an extra little bit of time, but to like tape or connect the stickers somehow to the bill so they can't just get separated and
I think
thrown
My
away.
claims, the sticker was not in ours. I had him show me the envelope and show me the stuff and I saw no decal, so
Okay,
I said, he opened both pieces of mail. The first time he said there's no decal, and the second time he said there's no decal. So I don't know if other people have experienced this, if Mike somehow did lose the decal when he opened the mail, or if there was no decal.
I either didn't have one or I threw it away. I'm not sure which. I'll look in the basket when I get home.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I had the same idea, Wendy, and had mentioned to Mark that I know it's gonna take a little extra time. We're gonna have to figure out a way somehow affix the decal to wherever we're sending it.
Yeah.
Because it's
It's just
just,
silly.
it's, yeah. Now, maybe it isn't a big issue because they're all out now, right? So
Yeah.
people should be good with decals. So it would be for a future homeowner. Or property owner. And so maybe since there won't be so many of them, it might be easier to,
Yeah.
Paper
we have
clip
to
it.
Mail in future decals, we could do a paper clip or a piece of
Little
tape, or we could try something a little different.
yeah,
for sure.
it won't be, hopefully we're out of the era of mass decal mailing.
I hope so too.
Maybe it's just getting ahead of ourselves, but I assume we're not gonna update it annually, so like a color change like we do every 2 years, is that what you're
I
saying?
think that's what Megan's plan was, every 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah. We had talked about it briefly, but we can revisit it. But I think we had tentatively settled on every couple years.
okay,
Yeah, there's nothing in the regulation that mandates we do it at any set period. It's up to us.
okay.
Or if we find a better way,
Or
Right.
if we find a better way to do it. Yeah.
right, one decal and a
Placard.
placard or something, but we
Right.
were just gonna run with what we have for the time being.
Okay.
Well, and since we're on the transfer station update, anything else that's happening? On transfer station?
A lot of stuff, some of it we need to, that it's related to the wastewater treatment facility project and the contract, so I'll leave it for the non-public because of the contract. But we have been working with, continuing to work with Hoyle Tanner and Black and Veatch to develop some additional information about the transfer station. So that part of it I'll leave till later. Megan went on the NRRA tour that they do every year to other town transfer stations and solid waste facilities. This year, they went down to Waste Management's facility in Rochester. And I believe they visited the Lee Town Transfer Station. And I do not remember the other one. But they visited two municipal transfer stations as well. She has a lot of information that is due back or that came as a result of that she's gonna put together into a report, and we'll give you at the next meeting so that we can talk about it in detail. She learned about other towns' scheduling and staffing and how they are set up. She's getting plans from other communities so that we can compare both to our current operation and to the proposed new site, the upper site. But it was a very useful day yesterday for her. She learned quite a bit. The other big piece of it was, as a group, they discussed the status of the Bethlehem landfill. There has been no change to the planned closure date of May 2025. And there is nothing, no permits or any proposed permits that anyone is aware of right now for a potential replacement. So that information was verified yesterday. The next meeting is scheduled to be, I believe, the first or second week in December.
Is the burden on Casella to find a new site, or is the burden on the group of towns,
Well,
or both?
the burden ultimately will be on us as individual municipalities to decide what we're going to do post May 2025. Because if Casella doesn't move forward, then the contract will end and it will be up to us to individually as municipalities to find our own alternative.
Is there no study group or any type of group at the Pemmy Baker Solid Waste to get ahead of this for all the towns in that consortium to go together somewhere else?
Nope.
Did a bit of ostriching.
Well, I believe so, and I discussed that a little bit with Megan. I asked her if there seemed to be any sense of urgency among any other community. And she said, not really. I don't,
A year and a half
given
out?
the fact that it takes more than a year or two to get a permit from DES just in normal time frame. I just don't see any way for Casella unless the state steps in and says that they have to do something to help us. I do not see anything that's going to give us a viable option after Bethlehem. Now, maybe the state will step in and extend the permit. They've been known to make accommodations when someone points out to them that there are no alternatives for 15 communities. But I think that we need to start looking now
Yeah.
at alternatives.
So who would head that up? Would it be this board or Megan or some?
Well,
Okay.
it's gonna be all of us. I think it's part of our budget request. I mean, we should have a conversation with Megan when she provides the written report for the next meeting.
Be an action item to come out of that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's still looking like driving to Rochester, but what does that look like? So
From what I understand, wind waste has been looked at as well. Is that correct?
we have
did.
looked at wind waste. We cannot, well, it's the money, yes, it is the money, and it's also the way our dumpsters are set up and everything else, they are very stringent on contamination. And because we don't control exactly what goes into every dumpster, it would be they have very harsh, like 10% or less contamination. In the way that our dumpsters are set up, that would be a very difficult standard to meet.
I was at a town over in Maine, Castine, this summer, and
Yep.
I was kind of curious to see that all of the trash bags that were left out to be picked up all had stickers on them that said Castine. So
Right.
that when they go to the regional landfill, they know, I assume they know which town. If there's problems, they know which town it came from.
Or was that a way to limit trash from individuals?
I don't know,
Like a lot
I
of,
never asked anybody what the reason
Yeah.
was, but I was curious to see everybody had a sticker that
Yeah.
said Castine on
a
it.
lot of,
We-
a lot of towns, you have to purchase vouchers or stickers to put on your bags, and you're limited to however many stickers you have.
Oh, really?
I know they're.
And
getting a lot faster
That's
than-
right. Absolutely. And we use that in Farmington, and we used it as a fundraiser to close and cap our landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
And
can
I-
also add to that recycling bags, which would be free.
Right.
And that way you get people to limit what goes in the landfill, yeah.
Yeah.
All
but
right,
again, the recycling bags have to be clear, they have to be inspected.
right,
You've got to have a system to make sure that that what you're collecting for recycling is in fact recyclable. But this, I don't, this isn't the first time we've talked about this. We have been, since the Solid Waste Committee last year, we have been saying that
Hmm.
the Bethlehem landfill closure date, the very first time it came out, it was not that far away. It was only, what, 2.5 years, Rich?
Yep.
So,
So it's possible for the state to extend the contract at Bethlehem?
yeah, I think it's highly unlikely because they've
Okay.
already received one extension.
Oh.
I don't believe that they're gonna get another extension.
And they've been tied up, in a court case for
For
a
2
long
years.
time now, right?
Yeah.
For, opening another.
Well,
facility.
both opening up another and then expanding the existing.
The existing one, right?
And Bethlehem has basically adopted rules which make expansion of the existing Bethlehem landfill impossible. And the surrounding communities have made the new site untenable. And they've withdrawn the permit application
Right. Casella
for the
has,
existing.
yeah,
Casella has, yeah. So. I'm just not seeing any options right now. As far as a new landfill.
Or else hiring someone to come in and haul the trash away for us would be, not that that would
well,
be,
other than a complete redo of our
right,
municipal solid waste
Yeah,
procedure. Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
yeah. And how we have all the dumpsters out everywhere,
no, exactly.
and how that would happen.
So then what's our timeline for addressing this? But we'll hear from. you
like to
again.
have it as an agenda item for next meeting.
Yeah.
Talk
let's-
about the information that. Talk about the information that Megan gathered yesterday.
Yeah.
And then start figuring out what options we want her to look at.
Yeah. I mean, even just going to Rochester, the wear and tear on
Sure,
the truck, right? I mean, it's gonna be,
Well, you're
And the
taking
time.
you're taking
And
a
the-
half a day operation and you're
Yeah.
making it an entire day.
right?
And
Time.
you're almost doubling the mileage on the truck.
And we don't have enough people.
Well, we don't have enough people to do a half a day
Right.
round
No, that's-
trip. So.
Alrighty, but we
yeah,
can
those are
also just,
all considerations.
and we can also try to get our hands around this in our budget discussions this fall, at least perhaps on the personnel side. I don't know, if you recall, Mark, where the trash truck stands in the CIP.
I don't remember right offhand, but Steve is working on the CIP with the subcommittee for the planning board. So
Right,
we will have something, was it next meeting or the second meeting in November, Steve?
The second.
it was a second
Second
because you still
meeting
has
in
to go in front of
November,
the
we
planning
should be
board.
sharing that with you guys. As
Right.
far as having gone through the subcommittee, CIP subcommittee and the initial draft to the planning board. So you're gonna see the entire CIP a month from now.
Right,
And in conversation with Megan at the CIP committees. The trash truck is slated for 2026.
yeah, it's not that far,
Replaced,
yeah,
but with some things that the mechanic is starting to see now, he's teetering on the edge of 2025,
Hmm.
so. In that time frame.
2025 could be a very bad year.
Yeah.
Right, well, I mean, and then there's,
Don't count out 2024.
why not, sure. And let us not also count out any additional construction,
Right.
residential or commercial that's coming our way over the next few years, which is gonna add to the burden of being able just to handle it with one truck.
Mm.
Any other good news on the transfer station? How's the, any, complaints, comments, observations, from anybody on
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, a lot of talk about dissatisfaction with the hours.
Yeah.
A lot of people would like to see the transfer station open later. We had an occurrence yesterday where we had, our attendant who fell ill and she was out for the day. We had some people with brush appointments in the afternoon. So planning for those to open the upper transfer station was a little challenging. They came to town hall and I was able to get the key and open up the gate and bring them up and help them with the compost and debris. But again, just things that I think speak to the fact of not having redundancy within the staffing
mhm.
model that we have right now. Is just kind of gonna be a little bit of an inconvenience for other individuals who work for the town.
Are we keeping track of, I know last week last meeting, we had statistics by week. But we had asked to break it down by day going forward.
Yeah,
Is she keeping it by day now?
I'm pretty sure Mark had asked Megan to scrutinize that data a little bit more detailed and she should have something for our next meeting.
I mean, it's curious that we have 192 single family homes. And on a given week. Only 40 something people
Yeah,
use
mid-40s.
the transfer station, so it tells me that 3/4 of the houses are vacant most of the time,
Or at least this time of the year.
At least this time of the year.
at least this time of the year,
Right.
we got October 12th.
Yeah.
On the positive notes, we are seeing a lot less dumping at the red shed. Some Monday mornings we come into 15 to 20 TVs and a half a dozen mattresses.
Right.
That's not happening anymore. So that's a good thing. I think that we are seeing a lot of people from the estates, Waterville Estates, coming down and thinking that they've used this transfer station for 15 years and why can't they continue to use it? And we politely say, you need to be a resident, a property owner here.
So how many people does she turn away? Do we have any idea?
I don't. I'm not positive, Mark, if she's tracking that.
I believe she is.
Yeah, that would be another interesting
Yeah,
data.
that'd be
Have you
interesting.
seen an increase in trash at the condo dumpsters?
Hard to say. There was a period where we had our trash truck driver out for 3 days last week. And we had overage resulting in that because he wasn't able to do his pickups, but I haven't fielded any calls at town hall about anyone concerned with other people dumping in their condo dumpsters.
I have heard though that at Town Square. it's been an
Yes.
issue.
I've gotten 2 calls from town square merchants. So just within, it was early last week that I got that input.
After the holiday weekend.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that was because the driver was out sick or how much was because of residential use of the commercial dumpsters. The callers that I talked to seemed to feel that it was a residential use.
Well, like anecdotally, I heard there was a car seat in there, which isn't something that any commercial entity would be disposing of, so. Yeah,
I sent a note online to the Public Works Department because it was confusing to people about on the holiday weekend.
Right.
When would it be open? Because online it says
Yeah.
on a holiday weekend, it's closed on Sunday and it will be open Monday. But the Monday was the actual holiday. So in this case, was it closed on Sunday and open on Monday? And no one seemed to know which it was gonna be. It would be nice if, it
We have to be
would
more
state what
proactive.
And given the newness of all of this, we should have thought ahead of time.
to be
and put a sign.
proactive.
And then Thanksgiving weekend, Thursday is a day that is open. Does this mean that it's gonna be closed on Thursday? I would assume it would be closed on Thursday.
Right.
Because it's a holiday, but
Right.
according to what's written, it's gonna be.
Right,
the third
and
day.
I think Friday is a state holiday, right? Are you guys, is the town office open on Friday after Thanksgiving?
I wonder if we should have a whiteboard out there or
Me-
something for the times when we have.
If people looked
Yes.
online, a lot of people said they looked online and didn't see anything, so even if you just post something online, it would be.
Thanksgiving's coming up, so that,
Even, can we establish like a Google business site where we can just, have a Google website where it would have the hours? Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I have gone through between now and the January 2nd holiday. I have gone through the entire calendar. And we are going to, as soon as I can review it with Megan. Unfortunately, it's in my office and I haven't been able to go there yet. But I have every day between now and January 2nd written down what's going to be open and the times they're going to be open. I just need to review it with her. We understand what happened during the Columbus Day holiday, and we're going to make sure that we publicize all of the dates during the holiday weeks, because it's not going to be just Christmas or just Thanksgiving. It's going to be the entire period before Christmas all the way through post New Year's.
Christmas and New Year's are both
Yeah.
on Tuesdays.
Right, but that's why we need to make sure that we're never closed 3 consecutive days. So we've, like I said, I've gone through, Megan was not available to discuss that with before I left last Friday. So as soon as I get back in, we will get those dates out and we can review that at our next meeting as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's make that an agenda item for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Let's settle on the fall through the early January.
Yeah,
Let's
and
take
then
it
we're gonna
out.
need to do the same thing. Let's assess where we are with the Christmas holiday week.
Mhm.
And if things need to be adjusted, we need to figure out what we're gonna do during the World Cup week. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do during the February vacation
All the
weeks.
heavy weeks.
But I don't want to necessarily make those decisions right now, because I think we need to look at how our plan through the Christmas holiday works out and see if we need to add or move days around, because we're going to run into the same thing with those holidays.
All right, yeah, let's add it as an agenda item for next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll just chart it all out and then just blast it out.
Yeah,
Flyers at the post office, on the
We'll keep-
website.
we'll keep saying it
the
over and
fall
over
schedule
again.
is.
We'll have
Yeah.
a couple of, we can even do a special mailing if that's what we all agree needs to be done. I'm just, we're going to try to communicate this as well as we can.
That may
and
be
it's not-
appropriate for
it's-
Christmas
Yeah,
week.
it's not just the residents, like Bob noted. If 3/4 of our single family homes are second homeowners. And we need to tell them if they're gonna be here during Christmas week when the dump is open. When the transfer station is open.
I had a discussion with somebody about Sunday afternoons versus. And I know Mike Fergal feels this too, because at a previous meeting, he talked about it, but. My position always has been that people can drop their trash on the way to go skiing at 8 a.m. This other person that I was talking to was advocating that we should be open till 6 at night on Sundays, so that people after skiing can drop off their stuff on a Sunday. So this person and I had a
Discussion.
discussion about it,
Yeah.
and I'm not necessarily right, and he's not necessarily right, but it's something we need to be thinking about as well as while we're doing this.
Well, I do think, it's concerned me all along that we're not open as late as we can be into the evening. I mean, the state restricts us to
Right.
6 p.m. But, for anyone who works, getting there by 6 could even be tight. And I know there's different issues, but I don't think we should gloss over that. There has to be a way to find one day, whether it's Sunday or another day, perhaps Sunday makes the most sense, but to be open later.
And then, of course, you'd have lighting issues if you, as you
So-
start
So
to get
how
dark
do we,
earlier.
so how do we solve the lighting issues? I mean, this isn't insurmountable.
No, I
know.
think the way what we had tentatively agreed to earlier was to roll this into our budget discussions, because what we're really
Yeah.
talking about to have extended hours, I think, would be to have another person or a person and a half. Now, we wouldn't be adding that until the 2024 fiscal year, but I think that's what we were thinking of in terms of a longer term solution for the
Right.
hours. To
No,
have two
yeah.
people who could trade off and one can stay later.
Or just shift the hours to later, instead of opening at 8, open at noon.
Right. No, the issue there has been that the current attendant can't,
Right,
Well,
so we have to
and
find somebody who can.
okay,
there,
right.
and when we find somebody who can, we don't need to just find one person who can. We
Right.
need to find multiple people who can.
Yes,
Because like what just happened with Jen yesterday. I mean, what happens if Jen is scheduled to go to 6 o'clock and she calls in sick that day?
Right.
Now we have a staff that showed up at 7:30. And someone from that group is going to have to stay till 6 o'clock.
Right. No, I definitely see the challenges. I just think, we've all heard from enough people that this is an issue that perhaps
Yeah.
we need to,
move along.
yes,
Yeah.
expedite the discussion.
Right, so
for it.
next meeting, we should have an in-depth about all this.
Yeah, no, we can certainly continue our discussions in more detail. As I said, I think we were looking to the longer term solution being hiring more people to be able to deal with the hours
Right.
or cost for lighting or what have you.
Can we start listing now for people, or are we constrained by the budget at this point?
Well, okay, we can advertise, but what do you want us to advertise for? Part-time, full-time? What are we looking for?
Well, do we have, how much latitude do we have? Is there room in the budget to look for full-time, or are we constrained? I don't know where we're at this point.
I think if we started advertising now, by the time we got to hiring someone, it could be the end of the year. So we would be
Sorry.
talking about the 24 budget, but you'd be making commitments for the 24 budget that haven't gone before town meeting yet.
Okay. So then we should add that on as well,
Yeah,
Or-
I mean, we haven't really addressed it in
That
terms
we
of personnel costs
right,
and a full-time obviously would be much more expensive
right.
than a part-time employee. All right, well, let's re-engage.
Well, I'm
Okay.
wondering whether we could find somebody works at one of the inns or works someplace in town, Jugtown, or someplace that
Hmm.
might be looking for a few extra hours on a Sunday afternoon.
Or even like an on-call type of,
Yeah, so you got somebody that's in town that already is fully employed, but wouldn't mind earning a little extra money occasionally.
Hmm,
Or someone who's retired, who's willing to work just a
Yeah.
few hours a week,
Hey,
right,
what?
who's retired, who lives in town.
right. You just have to go through
Yeah,
you have to go through the training,
yeah,
But
I
doable.
think we put out feelers. I know I talked to one person, see if he was interested in being on call, and he was unable to do it. Do we need to be more programmatic about it, perhaps?
that way.
Yeah,
I would like to see open positions posted on the website somewhere.
Yeah,
I think people would look at that periodically and it wouldn't hurt
yeah, absolutely.
to get the word out to people.
yeah,
Someone might think, hey, I can do that. I have
Right.
time, I can do that. or I know someone who wants a few extra hours.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, right now, I don't think we have any open positions to advertise, but again, we could push it forward out of the budget discussions and make a decision on trying to hire, say, at least a part-time person as soon as possible.
I don't know, does it have to wait for budget discussions for a part-time person, somebody that's on call?
Depends how many hours, I suppose.
I mean, if you're talking, somebody that's gonna work average 5 hours a week or something.
Well, it'll be part of the 2024 budget request.
Well, I
We
mean,
don't
I guess
have
what
to.
we're asking is there any money available for a part-time person
Right,
right now,
in this budget now, is what I was asking.
without waiting for the 24 budget? We're probably not talking a lot of money if we're talking 5 or 6 hours a week for,
Right,
Mm.
for an afternoon or potentially like 13 hours if they have to fill in on a shift.
And can we do that legally, I guess, is the other part.
Yes,
Is
you,
that-
you can.
Okay,
Let Steve and I look at it. We'll tell you, I'll send you an email
okay,
about the budget status.
Great,
I don't want to say yes and then
right.
right,
come back and change it. So
Yeah,
let
I
me,
mean, I know our glide path has been towards, the rate setting and, and so we really haven't focused on exactly if there's any other monies we could use. We've been wary of using contingency since it's already low.
right.
well,
Yes.
we just used 34,000 of it.
Right,
So that's why I've got to look, I got to go over it with Steve.
right.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll definitely talk about this some more on to November. Anything else on the transfer station? Anyone else would like to? Anyone got any good news about the transfer station?
Well, it sounds like there is a lot of good happening with.
Yeah,
the
no, I've
dumping
had,
of
and I've
random
had
stuff.
people contact me saying they were so happy with that. It's much more, it's a much better operation. It's stuff that's not just lying around, coming from God knows where.
Yeah.
And we're collecting money.
We
Right.
are. We did field a call, I fielded a call a couple of days ago from a resident who lives in a townhome. And she was curious if the transfer station was open because her dumpster was getting full because of
Mhm.
the staffing matter that we had. And she did comment, she said that she loves it, she loves that it's tightened up. That not just anybody can come and dump at our transfer station, and she commented on her customer service experience when she went and dropped off her bags, and it was all positive, so.
Good.
happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. On that note, let's move on to the road project update.
They are tracking schedule wise for continuing the drainage improvements that have been going on the upper part of Snows Brook Road. They're going to continue that probably through mid-week next week. Depending on the weather, both this weekend and during the
Rain.
week next week. Yeah, we've got a lot of rain potentially coming in over the weekend. But they have run into a couple of issues with the drainage improvements that they're making. They are at Gorewood Way right now. To get from Gorewood Way all the way up to the other end of Village Road will definitely take them at least half of next week, if not all of next week. The reclaim repave right now is scheduled for the 30th through 30th of October through the 1st of November. And then paving to be done November 1st, 2nd timeframe. Again, that assumes that they won't be slowed down by the weather. We have confirmed that the paving pavement plant will remain open well into November. So that's not going to be an issue. It's just going to be the weather. When it comes to paving at this time of the year, we just have to make sure that the day is warm enough and that there's no freezing conditions at the start of the day. So it's really going to be a day-to-day thing, but they are still tracking to be finished in early November.
We've been lucky so far. I mean, we haven't even had our first frost. It's a
I know.
month late.
Yeah.
And if that can just keep up for another 3 weeks, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of days next week, we're gonna be around 32, 33
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the morning, so.
Yeah, one morning here and there of that isn't critical from a paving standpoint. We just don't want the ground to freeze.
Right,
So far, the weather, long range weather forecast looks okay. But they are running into pipes that they didn't know were there, not on any plans. And yesterday the water
really?
sewer line,
What digging in the ground has never run into
yeah, exactly.
pipes that they didn't know were
and then-
there?
And
Or on
then
any plans.
yesterday, Bill Dower let me know that yesterday the water and sewer lines apparently were completely encased in concrete. So they had to dig around areas that they thought they would simply dig through. So there's been a few challenges that have slowed them down. But they're continuing to make headway.
Okay. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed. Get that done. Anything else on the road project from anybody? Board concerns and directives, I have but one, but Wendy, you have any? Bob?
I have some.
All right, let me get my one out of the way and then I'll turn the floor over to you. Is DPW still patching potholes? There's a pretty big one that's opened up just past Lost Pass Road on Valley as you're heading towards Boulder Path.
Okay,
I just wanted to mention it. I don't know if they're still,
Yeah.
They're still doing it.
Plenty of that cold patch.
yeah,
stored
I think,
away.
isn't there also one in Boulder Path, almost opposite Craig's maintenance building? I think there's one right there.
yeah, there
too.
may be. And check those two, that would be
yeah.
helpful. So over to you, Bob.
Well, I'm just curious where we stand on, we got 3 engineering projects in the works, at least. Pond excavation, engineering for cleaning out the pond. Are we expecting something from them recent?
That's due the week of October 30th, Bob.
Okay, and then the second one is the mountain septic.
The mountain septic, we've had an update with the resort and the engineering firm. And they are working with with both DES and the Forest Service. We need to get some daily usage. We're going to replace the water meters at the resort with updated, very accurate meters. There is some concern with the design engineer that if we do not have accurate daily water usage data, they're going to make us design the system for the maximum skier days. And if we do that, the design will probably be several times larger than it actually needs to be.
Yeah, we don't-
So we've had a conversation with Tim Smith and we're trying to get the meters replaced, get some good data over the winter. And have a plan put together for March of next year for the small projects day. If Tim cannot get it put in as a maintenance project under the existing use permit. So the engineer for the septic system has a preliminary design, but it's based on those very large skier day anticipated or possible skier day numbers, the maximum skier days. And in doing that, the system has grown from what we originally planned. So we're trying to verify if those are the actual numbers we should be using.
So this year, if we put in the new water meters, we'll get a better sense of what actually.
But that's
needs to
not
be done.
we're not gonna know that till the end of the winter. So it'd be tough to get a contractor to,
No, the contractor was at the meeting, Bob, when we came up with this plan, and he said as long as they get the numbers together by April, and again, depending on DES review of the plans and everything else, he would, he could work on it this coming summer. But with the potential change in our timeline for the plant, the urgency to get it done in next year isn't as great as it was at the beginning of this year.
Right.
Right. So even if we have to work on it in the spring of 25, that's not as much of an issue as it was before now. With this change in our engineering firm, our timeline has expanded.
right?
Something.
So the bottom line is they are working on it, and everybody is in agreement as far as the resort and the town and the design engineer. And the contractor says he can support the
So
plan.
to the extent, there's just a curiosity, but the extent that they have a facility on the mountain road that's below the base area, do they have to pump up to that septic system?
No, everything is gravity to the septic system. Septic system design is in the parking lots.
Yeah, but if the gondola goes across to a location halfway up the mountain road,
That's on a totally separate system. The system that we're installing now is only for existing facilities.
okay.
Yeah, so a new.
And so a new building at that location I'm talking about could have a septic system right there.
It could have a septic system right there. It could tie into our plant. I mean, it would all depend on what that design looked like. I would rather have them have their own septic system on
Yeah.
site. But if the Forest Service came back and said, no, you got to tie into the sewer treatment plant, we'd be talking about an entirely new system.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, how about the Snows Mountain Road engineering project? Are we anticipating that soon?
Again, the end of October, week of 30 October was the deadline.
All right, and the treatment plan contract, we're gonna talk about that in the
Yes, non-public.
non-public.
Yep.
Okay,
Good. Good.
Yep.
All right, correspondence. See, we have a letter from,
Yeah, you have an
Property.
email, and for this email regarding the light on the pump building, it's part of our standby on the generator. Because we still have not received the project back from the contractor yet, right? Until we get the generator certified and the startup complete. The project is not gone to substantial completion. So the electrician still owns all of the system. But
So-
we are planning on putting in either a shield or a different light fixture to address the glare issues. Once we get substantial completion done.
And I think that's what we had mentioned or told the property owner earlier, that as soon as we got to substantial completion, we'd
Yep.
deal with the issue. So any word on when that substantial completion may occur?
No, still no firm date for the generator.
Has the shield or other light fixture been ordered? So it's just a matter of swapping it once it's done?
No, I have not done that. I'll talk to Megan about and Dylan about getting that done.
Good point, then
Okay.
we just put it right on there as soon as we can.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
We got this letter from Central New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce about
Yes.
the World Cup.
Yeah, I spoke with Brooke because she's our rep at WVRA, and Wendy, you can chime in. I think the intent is to find out whether the town would be willing to participate in this sponsorship. It would be a shared sponsorship, from what I understand, between the resort, the WVRA, and the town. If it's $5,000, it's not a lot of money that I would see as the town share. Maybe I don't know what the breakdown would be. Has there been any conversation about what the potential for that is, Wendy?
Not at the Resort Association meeting. I actually missed the last one, but I double checked with Tom and it hadn't been discussed at that meeting. So this is sort of news to him as well.
Okay, well, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do it for a small amount of money, $1,000, $1,500, whatever the breakdown would be.
I don't.
It's at
I sent a thing to Brooke and asked her where this takes place. It doesn't even say it on the
Yeah.
It's
the
usually
proposal.
done at
Doesn't tell her
PS.
where it's gonna be.
It's usually done at Plymouth State University. The actual seminar day is usually at PSU,
I mean,
but I don't know. It could.
I did the sponsorship for most of the World Cups we had here.
Mhm.
And typically we'd go out looking for money from the state. I think we got $50,000 from the state for a bunch of the World Cups. And I mean, seems to me the opposite. We wound up spending money to support a symposium that I don't know. I don't see how the mountain feels about it, but it seems to me it has limited benefit to, you're trying to attract people to the area. You're kind of speaking to the choir if you want to, and it seems to me $5,000 could be spent better trying to promote an event than supporting a symposium to the other tourism people. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but.
Oh, that's a valid point.
Well, I think the sponsorship goes out before the actual event.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
sponsorship is out the month before. And I thought that was the idea, was this was in the lead up to
Oh, I'm sure that's right.
World Cup.
I'm sure that's right.
But the question is, I guess, who it's being addressed to?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
if those
you're
emails
talking
are
to
being sent out.
other tourism people in the state. I mean, is that the audience that you want to be talking to with $5,000?
Okay, well, I'll find out what the audience is.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
Good. Good. Have a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. I seconded it. That was, Steve stepped up, but that was 6:05.
So we just need to wait for the control master.
Yeah. We're still live
Go
here,
start
so.
pushing buttons, but that might not end well.
Yeah, please don't end the Zoom meeting or I'm gonna be sunk. I'll have to call Rich on his cell phone.
We just went into non-public, so if you can stop the recording.